Hello and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator for part 3 and the final part of my review of the Just Flight BAE 146 Professional. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video, and in the last video I think I did okay, a couple of mistakes aside, one with not switching the radio frequency to active and then I missed the VOR and the intercept for that because I messed up on that, and second was a slight control issue. I did check it out, it was actually after a game crash my controls sensitivities had reset, which was really annoying, and it's actually the third or fourth time I've had to reset my control sensitivity. Generally happens after an update, but yeah, it was that, and when I pulled back on the stick it was just too much, so I had to be very gentle. I've now sorted it out, so it should be a lot better. So in the last video I started up the aircraft from cold and dark. We took it out for a journey, or we started taking it out for a journey. We did the taxi takeoff and a climb out with a standard instrument departure, which checked the autopilot modes, and now we are flying towards, at the moment we're flying towards Westgate. So we've just crossed Daventry, we're flying towards Westgate, and then we're going to be doing our approach using the Honolulu 1 Hotel approach over to London Heathrow. And would you look at that, that's Silverstone once again. Just like I did in the X-Plane video, we've got Silverstone here, which I kind of really need to make sure that I get a proper shot of this. Get that in automatic, and then I'll switch that to okay, that's not working how I want it to work, but I'll put that into manual and get a good, there we go, we get a good picture of Silverstone, though it's slightly out of focus, but you can still see clearly what that is. So there we go, that's actually a decent thumbnail. I think perhaps if I change that to be pointing like that and like that, that could actually be a really good thumbnail for this video. Just need to adjust it slightly more. Yep, that looks like it. So, in this video I'm going to be doing the rest of the journey. Whoa. What's happened here? I'm not even going to ask what just happened because I have no idea whatsoever. That was interesting. I feel like there are buttons, there are controls in the Flight Simulator setup that just are not correct, or are just cause problems. Why are we? Yeah, there we go. We need to do a slight descent there. Thank you. Let's reduce throttle slightly. That was page up, I believe. I might have pressed by mistake, but yeah, okay, fine. Let's go ahead and put the Honolulu 1 Hotel approach. And as you can see, we're flying in towards Westgate. We're not quite on it yet, so we'll do this, and whilst the intro's running I'm going to ensure that I'm set up for Bovingdon and the Bovingdon approach, so you should stay tuned for the approach and landing. Alright, I am set up for the approach for Bovingdon, and it is in active, so we're going to hit VL for VOR intercept mode, and it looks like we need to do a descent to flight level 70 over 17.2 nautical miles. So I'm just going to set that in right now to flight level 70. I have left this in standard because we've been flying standard pressure the whole time. We do not have to press any buttons to swap between standard, or to put it back into standard pressure or anything like that. Right, we are intercepting that local the VOR for that very nicely. What I now need to do is I need to ensure that nav2 is set for London Heathrow, which is going to be 270. And I am also concerned that we're going to need to slow down to 220 So I'm going to drop my throttles. I'm going to set that for 270. Single pilot operations is a little difficult when you're unused to the aircraft. There we go, that's been set. And then I'm going to pre-select 109.5 on this as well. That has been pre-selected, and I'm now going to begin my aircraft descent. So I will now press altitude on and begin the descent. And there we go, as well as reduce the throttle, and I think we should be okay. Now once we've reached there, we need to use the Bovingdon initial approach procedures, which is this one here. Decision height is going to be 100. It's going to be 100 feet over radio if we're using radio altimeters. That's fine. 127 is what we're going to be needing out of Bovingdon. So at this point in time, I'm just going to set the heading to hold this. Set up the course for 127 right now. So that's set. Switch to heading. Set that to 127 outbound. And we should be okay. We are still trying to slow down. Actually, 220 knots might be for the hold. So we should be okay at the moment. But we do have to slow down to, not only do we have to be 6,000 and above, we need to be at 6,000 for that, then we need to be at 3,500, and we need to slow down 180. So it's worth us starting the slowdown now. I'm going to put this into descent. Apparently that switched off as well. Okay, so I think page up or page down must switch off avionics, perhaps? I'm not entirely certain. I'm really not certain what it switches off. Drop that further. And we will adjust the heading. There we go. London is ahead of us. Yep, you can see London ahead of us nicely. We are now in the descent mode, so we are actually going to continue a descent to 6,000 feet at this point. So we're just going to keep doing that. Let it continue its descent. I think we should be okay. I'm going to bring this around, ensure that that is correctly selected. And now to look for our descent checklist. So PTU needs to go on. So I'll switch to PTU on. Now because I'm single pilot, I'm actually going to switch a few things on right now. I'm actually going to put the AC pump back on. I'm going to start the AC. Yeah, I'm going to start this once again. And then I will be going into flaps. Yeah, I'll be going into flaps 18 and everything like that as quickly as I can. I am slowing down nicely though, so that's a good thing. That's certainly a good thing. Approach checklist, we want to be, or approach briefing, we're going to be landing flaps. Let's land flaps 24 today. So we'll set that to flaps 24. There we go. We have slowed down to 220, which is good. And we are heading down to 6,000 nicely, which is also good. Right, now that the APU is on, I am actually going to switch off engine air and switch on APU air. There we go. I think that is about everything I need to do for landing this aircraft. It is an interesting flight. As I said, this aircraft is very hands-on, and I think it's absolutely fantastic for an aircraft to be hands-on in this fashion. It really is. It's an important I think it's an important aspect of an aircraft to be hands-on. I suppose I am not particularly keen on aircraft that are, well, not hands-on. There's Wembley and Heathrow, so I'm going to take that as a screenshot because you can see Heathrow through the clouds, and we'll go back in and start focusing on what we're supposed to be doing. So we're slowing down to 200 knots, which is good. I'm going to let myself continue slowing down, and as soon as we've crossed that, which is 15 miles from Bovingdon, we are going to continue our descent to 3,500. So I'm already going to set this up for 3.5. There we go. That has been set. Slow down to 200, which is good. Just going to give it a little bit of throttle now, because we are going to be going flaps 18 momentarily. There we go. The nose is starting to tilt up a little. It's at 5 degrees. In fact, at this point in time, I think flaps 18 is a good idea. So that's our first stage of flaps. And put the throttle in. That way the nose will come down nicely. And there it is. Altitude arm. And we'll start dropping the nose even further. And we are nicely slowed down to 170 knots. Right, we need a much steeper descent now. So this is where it's going to get a little difficult to do this. At 19 we're going to turn around, we're going to then swap that over. Course is going to go to, well, I'm going to set the course already to 270 because, oh dear, didn't mean to do that actually. 127, we're still flying 127, aren't we? I want to set the heading hold to that. And we are descending, we are certainly descending, just not fast enough. We're definitely descending, just not as quick as I want to be descending. Not for this aircraft anyway. Right, heading hold we go. Let's adjust this to 270. Now we are descending how we want to be. Yep, now it's certainly descending the way we want to be. 270. Swap that over. Good, and we're going to arm both the glide slope and the localizer. Technically we should be doing the localizer first, then the glide slope. And we'll tune in, and I want this to go down to 3,000. Do that. That should allow us an intercept. We're 1,000 above, which is not bad, and we're sticking at about 180 knots, which is good. That's really good for us. Take another screenshot as we fly over London.
Localizer captured.
There's the localizer, and immediately we're going to go glide slope. And that actually worked. That is exactly what I wanted it to do. Right, so all of that seems to have worked quite nicely. What are my final thoughts on this aircraft as I start bringing this aircraft in for a landing? Well, I think first off, I think this is a fantastic piece of kit. It truly is an amazing piece of kit. Very well designed. It's got plenty of features. Just going through some clouds here. It handles really well. As I said, I think any mistakes in the flying have been me. I think that the co-pilot's really good as well, but I do know that there was a bug in the X-Plane version of the co-pilot where he just call out a whole bunch of stuff, so I want to see if he does the same thing in this as we come in for a landing. Right. Approach charts for 27 left. Runway 27 right, 27 left. There it is. Okay. Looks like we are fine on our course. It should be...
Speed check below 205, select gear down.
Gear is not going down right now. That should be the course for us. I am, however... it's kind of difficult to see. It's very difficult to see where we are. There's the runway. There's Richmond Park. So what we need to do is we need the gear down as soon as we pass through Richmond Park. And then we're going to slow down. Yes, I think that's Richmond Park that we're going over right now. Yes, I believe it is. Right. Preparing to take manual control. The sun is setting. It's a little difficult to see. So, I'm going to, believe it or not, going to use this and see what happens. Let's make use of it. This bit difficult to move this around, but this makes it easier to see. It does as well. Right, gear down. Let the aircraft slow itself down. And we'll be going to flaps 24 in a moment. Landing speed is going to be
below 180. Select flaps 24.
Yeah, I am going to do that. We're looking for 123 as our landing speed, so we need to shed off a lot of speed now, but we will be able to shed off a lot.
170. Select flaps 30.
There's the bug, because we're not doing that. We're not selecting those flaps, so clearly I can see that. Right, should be okay now. And I will take control of the aircraft now. So 123 is our, is it 123 landing speed? 131.
Speed check below 145.
That's where we need to be.
Flap 33.
500 feet.
Disconnected.
My aircraft. We're slightly slow, actually. We are a little slow. I wanted 131 as my landing speed, so we should be doing 141. There we go. We were slightly low as well, so I just wanted to correct that. Gentle on the controls. Here we go. Very gentle. We're coming in at our landing speed, which is great. Over Myrtle Avenue. No, we don't need flaps right now. We're fine. Slightly off the localizer, but it's not too bad.
50, 40.
Ooh, it's not
30,
quite straight though.
20, 10.
Ground idle.
But apart from not being straight on the runway, we are.
Brake pressure seen. Yellow and green spoilers.
Yeah, apart from not being straight on the runway, so that was a little wobbly. Spoilers have worked nicely. The landing was very smooth. Very, very smooth. So I am impressed with the landing characteristics of this. It didn't feel like it was going to sort of smash into the ground really quickly or anything like that. So that was actually very, very nicely done. Again, just a slightly poor landing from me. I should have been, I'll be honest, I was a little bit with the trying to bring the sun blind out. That was probably what distracted me, and I should have been focusing and preparing myself for that landing and watching the aircraft and where it was going, because it was, for example, just slightly low and slightly too slow. But overall, I really do like this aircraft, and I think that give myself about 4 or 5 hours with this aircraft and I think I'll be all over it. I really think I'll be all over this aircraft. It is a really, really great aircraft. Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive aircraft. So, what are my recommendations on this? Should you purchase it? Yes, I think you should. If you're the kind of person who only has a couple of hours to fly, and or wants to do lots of short journeys, and by short journeys I mean those are of less than 1,000 nautical miles, more often than not 500 at most, maybe 600 nautical miles, this is the aircraft for you. If you prefer really long journeys, 3, 4, 5,000 miles, then no, this is not the kind of aircraft that will do that. If you also like aircrafts that are a lot more hands-on, then again this is the kind of aircraft you probably want to be looking at. There is a lot more to do with it, but I also do recommend that you sort out your flight simulator controls. For one, you need to sort out your elevator and your ailerons and all of that. Depending on your equipment, you want to sort that out so that you can fly this aircraft properly, and indeed probably any jet. You also want to ensure that you unbind things like whatever I did, which was page up. Whatever page up is doing, that control you probably want to unbind, because that doesn't make any sense. I want to see what is it that it does. See, avionics, there you go. So it switches off the avionics master. So where you could be pressing, for example, you might want to be pressing inserts or something like that, you end up pressing, that's a weird angle, isn't it? You end up pressing page up, or you want to be pressing the pause brake button, which is above it for active pause. You press page up, you might end up switching off your avionics. So get rid of all of those controls. I highly recommend that you do that. Just get rid of the lot, and that will leave you with just the controls that you want to fly this aircraft, so that you can get the maximum out of this aircraft. Again, it's available for £50 on the Just Flight website, and as I said in the first part of this review, this product was given to me by Just Flight, but my views are completely my own as usual, and I'm thoroughly impressed. If I had to purchase this aircraft, I certainly would pay £50 for this aircraft. It is an ideal aircraft for somebody like me. I think this, coupled with a couple of others, have I parked in a completely... No, I'm sort of in the right place. It's just that there's ground, something else here. This, coupled with a few other aircraft, for example the Hawk by Just Flight again, the Piper also by Just Flight, PMDG 737, and I'm looking for a study level aircraft, a 747 or a Concorde, 747 Concorde, and what else would I want from this? Probably a twin engine, but Just Flight generally are doing a lot of the products I would want. But certainly there are other ones like PMDG that I will be taking a look at. So there you go. That is my review for the Just Flight BAE Hawk. Sorry, not Hawk. This is the 146. This is not the Hawk, that's for sure. For the Just Flight BAE 146. Again, in a nutshell, if you like flying short hops, 1,000 nautical miles or less, this is the aircraft for you. It is absolutely ideal, as long as you can get used to the old analog style gauges and no auto throttle, rudimentary autopilot system, things like that. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think. Don't forget to support me on Patreon if you can do so at www.patreon.com/ecgadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. And also you can find me on social media at ecgadgetlp for both Twitter and Instagram. That is all from me, and I'll see you next time in Microsoft Flight Simulator, where I will be reviewing another aircraft. This time though, it will not be a Just Flight one. Oh, I did not mean to do that. What have I done? There you go. As I said, this time it will not be a Just Flight one, so make sure you stay tuned.